Good morning. It is Tuesday morning. Are you ready for a transformation? Here's a message for today, transformational message. What was Martin Luther King's Jr. real message? Hey, yesterday we celebrated MLK Day, and he was one of the greatest, most loving, inspired, non-judgmental, spiritually grounded leaders that literally changed the history of the world that we've ever seen in our time. And his departure from the physical body not only made history, but his life and message lives in the hearts and minds of all of us that created a legacy that changed the present and future of the world. So decades after his passing, we still are reminded of his message. And what was his message? His message was unity, meaning that we're all equal. We're all created in the likeness and image of God. We are all one. We are all in the same. And the principle of oneness is the highest truth. It's an energetic law in heaven and on earth. So being and seeing oneness and unity is really the highest level of consciousness. And MLK, Martin Luther King, saw himself as one with everyone. And that's why that beingness in himself projected out into the world. And his message was spread love and his message was nonviolence. It was love and nonviolence. Why did he use the words nonviolence? Because I watched this documentary last night on Martin Luther King's life and his message and things that he did. But why was this message nonviolence? Because at that time in the 60s, there was racial tension. There were civil rights. He was a civil rights leader. There were riots. There were racial shootings. And there were things going on that really, honestly, haven't changed and are still going on today. So his word of nonviolence was really a message of loving peace, non-judgment, and acceptance. He didn't see black and white. He saw black and white as the decisions people were making and the injustices that were happening because that was causing separation. And that was the real problem. And so some of the other leaders on those walks, they use the word black power. He didn't like the word black power because if you have black power, then you also have white power. And that created separation. We're still seeing that today. We have racial tension in groups like white supremacists, right? They basically hate everybody. You have Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter, because I've talked to leaders and developed relationships with leaders in Black Lives Matter, and they say, no, we don't say all lives matter. We say Black Lives Matter. And so that's the whole thing, is just the name creates separation, when in unity, we all matter. And now I know they don't agree with that. And yes, there's white privilege. And, I'm not going to get into all that. I have Black friends, African-American friends that they get treated differently sometimes. I'm not getting into all that. I'm not getting into, there's still racial tension today. So let's look at his message of unity. Here's a quote. Love is the greatest force in the universe. It's the heartbeat of the moral cosmos. Why? Because it's a universal law. So let's get out of all that black, white. Let's get into this. It is the heartbeat of the universe. He who loves is a participant in the being of God. Man, that's it. He understood we are all created equal. Let's carry that message out. Now, he died in 1968. We're still fighting the battle of loss and freedom. We're still fighting injustices, and we're still experiencing division and separation, maybe more today than ever. So what's that? So here's another quote. Let no man pull you so low as to hate him. Isn't that what's happening today? Man, we have so much segregation and division that is happening by determined, headstrong people about your political stance. And they hate the other side, right? They engage in aggressive behavior. This is not our nature. This is learned from our experiences that we have in our own life or the belief systems of others that have been passed down, because our innate divinity, who we are innately, is very loving. These are not the impressions of who we are. These are the impressions of belief systems that were created and we adopted in our life. Here's another quote. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And that was his message. It wasn't about racism, it was about unity and love. So we need to shine the light on darkness and hate. Here's another quote: hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to love. Man, and through that, through love, he changed the world. Don't we need this today more than ever? Here's another quote: the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of convenience and comfort, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Man, we are in the midst of challenges and controversies, is the understatement of the world. Man, we are in the middle of a cyber war, whether you know it or not. There's not bullets and guns at this point, but there is a spiritual war going on. So, what is your stand? Where do you stand? Do you stand in convenience and comfort? Or where do you stand in a time of challenge? Hey, we've never been in this position before. We have no previous reference point. So that means, what stand do we take? Give love, give kindness, give patience, give acceptance. And this is how we begin to attain our freedom. Internal freedom first and spreads freedom outwards. Isn't that what Martin Luther King's life was all about in his message? Here's another quote: one day we will learn that the heart can never be totally right when the head is totally wrong. So what we have to do is we have to align our head with our heart. What's going on the outside is they're aligning their heart with their head. What's that mean? In our head, that's when there's fear, that's when there's judgment, that's when there's hate. But we have to align our head with our heart, and that's where love begins. Because here's another quote: whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. That's the principle of unity. So we want to go from that old paradigm of racism, separation, division, into love and unity, and the new paradigm where we can actually change the world. This is our opportunity to create heaven on earth. That's an old paradigm. We're going into a new paradigm. The amount of time that it takes to go from division into love is determined by your desire, my desire, our desire to take a loving stance right now, to be able to stand when it's not convenient, when it's not comfortable, when there is challenges and we are in the middle of controversy. We need to bring hope, not conformity. We need to stand up to those challenges and shine the light on the darkness, in my opinion. Another quote: I know that love is ultimately the only answer for mankind's problem. Man, what position do you take? And finally, let's choose that right now. Here's another quote: we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Man, did you hear that? We must accept finite disappointment. What's that mean? Disappointment is only temporary. Whatever challenges we go through now, our stand for giving love and internal peace and freedom and spreading that to other people is so strong that we never lose infinite hope, because infinite hope is bringing God through us. That's who we are. We are divinity having a human experience. And we know how this ends. God wins. You can't go against universal law. The light is being shined on the darkness. Let's have that infinite hope, get through the temporary disappointment, and then all of this is in his hands. Our only responsibility is to go from separation into unity, from hate into love, from darkness into light. And let's do that together. And we can overcome any challenge that the world presents us. So let's love together. Thanks, guys. Love you guys.